Now, one of the great new features in Contact 8.6 is that in addition to the new multiple tools that we have, we can load in multiple tools to work in series, and we can even drag and drop to change the order. So the signal flow works from top to bottom. Whatever is coming into Contact, either from what's programmed in your DAW or what you're playing live in real time, goes into the first MIDI effect over here or tool. And then the output of that goes into the next tool. The output of that goes into the next one, and so on. So here's the arpeggiator. I've tweaked these settings a little bit. Great. Now I'm going to click the second slot here, and we get additional tools. And I'm going to click on this Humanizer and bring this in. And here, you'll see that we can drag and drop and change the order of the slots. So here, let me just drag this down. We can delay the notes and add a kind of random offset based on the number of milliseconds up to 100. And by doing that, we can get a really interesting, sloppy, loose kind of feel. So it's kind of a behind the beat feel, which is really kind of cool and hip hop rap kind of vibe where you want that bit of sloppiness. A little bit goes a long way. Now we can also humanize the velocities. So combined together, we're getting a lot of random variation. Let me bring that down. We'll just concentrate on the velocities. So it allows you to get more mileage out of a relatively short pattern in this case. And I can exaggerate it, of course. But again, a little bit goes a long way. Let me bring this down, and I'm going to switch this to chord mode. Now here it gets really interesting. We can add a kind of random humanized offset to the pitch within a given range. It defaults to 12 semitones, but there's a % of chance that notes will get randomized, note pitches will get randomized within that range. Now, of course, it sounds pretty dissonant with the bass playing the roots of the chords, and I can do this in note mode. So, again, pretty outside, but when we combine it with another tool, the scale lock tool, we can really get some interesting results. So again, and you can do it in a narrower range. So what I'm going to do is click on the third slot here, and in Tools, I'm going to bring in the Scale Lock tool and double-click that. And now I've got a third tool, which allows me to lock, and again, we'll scroll up here, we can see all our tools. There's the arpeggiator, here's the Humanizer tool doing its job. And now the output of that will be fed into here, and I can lock the generated notes to a given key and scale. So let's select, for example, E Dorian, which is kind of what this is based on. And if a note falls outside of that, I can instruct it to either do nothing and leave it silent, or play the lower note or the higher note, a half tone higher or lower, to get it to fit into that key and mode. So right now it'll sound a lot more kind of tonal. Now, not every random variation is going to be spot on, but it's interesting. I'm going to increase the range, lower this, and let's try it again. And let's set this to higher note. Now, to get something a little less random, I'm going to drag down the % of chance of pitch variation and the range. And let's just hear that. So that's interesting and more kind of inside, but let's increase this for a moment. So that's all working nicely. Let's see what happens when we change the order. Now, maybe I want to have the incoming notes humanized and locked to a scale, and then the arpeggiator set after that. So that's what we've got here, humanized and scale locked in arpeggiator. Very interesting and different result. Really interesting. Just playing with some of these parameters for pitch can generate so much, and velocity as well here. So very stimulating and, more importantly, musical. And remember, we can disable or bypass these individually from here or in the rack with these power buttons. We'll continue with more in the next video.